Quack, 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 quack.
Quack. 12 and... Oh! I am your host.
Almost.
Oh, what is going on? I'm your
12
host,
and
Adam Jamil.
almost.
Oh, now I'm getting it. Yeah, you threw me off my game just like our game was thrown off up in Seattle, Washington. Welcome to the Quack 12 podcast, the most official, unofficial Oregon Ducks podcast on the web footosphere. And I am joined, as always, by
No,
my lovely...
you are.
I'm Adam Jamil. Well, you threw me off, my man.
I'm here to catch you, though, baby doll.
I'm Adam Jamil.
And I'm Aaron Shababalooflap.
That's right. And I don't know. Aaron, we lost and it sucked and it broke my heart. What do you want me to say?
You know, I think you should be a little bit more upbeat than that because I don't know that I would consider it to be a full loss. You know what I mean?
You think it's a half?
Here's
one of
what
those famous half
here's what I
losses.
will say it was.
Mm-hmm.
And you can put me on paper with this one.
We can quote you on this?
This wasn't a loss because you can't lose something that was stolen from you.
Whoa, Aaron, what do you mean by this?
I'm talking deep state conspiracy. I'm talking buttering the field.
Oh.
I'm talking paying off some refs to turn a blind eye. I'm talking about some Scruff McGruff type shit, bro. Chicago, Illinois.
Aaron, now,
Yeah.
These are some serious allegations, and you usually are the more analytically not conspiracy-minded one of the Quack 12 podcast.
Look.
You're telling me you think there was some dirty money that made us lose this game.
Here's what
correct in
I'm
thinking
saying.
this?
The Huskies organization
Mm-hmm.
is dirtier than any mob family you could possibly ever find. I am talking deep state espionage.
Okay. And
They are. It's evil. Did you not see how they used anti-gravity devices in order to float backwards while catching a foosball? Did you see that?
I saw when that one Washington Husky didn't catch that ball, but they certainly ruled it a catch for some reason. You ever see that? It was
Oh
touching
no,
the
that was
goddamn
definitely a catch, I think.
ground. You think that one was a catch? So
I
that
did.
wasn't conspiracy.
But also, Adam, I want to talk about the fact that they were also doing some video cover-up stuff because in replays there
Okay.
are clearly multiple holdings that you can see happening.
Mm-hmm.
But then what they'll do is they'll do that thing where they kind of gray out the entire screen except for the one circle where they want you to be looking. But if you look all along down here along the line, what do you see? Whole bunch of face masks, whole bunch of holdings, a whole bunch of buttery field slipping and sliding.
So you think it's the prestige? It's everything you're not looking at that's really going on.
There it is. It's right there. They did a whole magic act on the entire world, and they paid off the refs to make it so the referees are just Michael Caine in the situation.
And what do you think about Terrence Ferguson faking his injury so we got that little timeout at the end of the game?
That was a real injury. That wasn't
was
fake.
a real injury. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting it. I'm trying to get
That
on
was
our-
real.
Okay, that's real.
Also,
Mm-hmm. Let it
I
out.
have to, yeah,
Let it
I
out.
have to say, I am 179,000%
Okay, that's a lot.
on Dan Lanning's side of history with this
No,
one.
there you
I
go.
think he is going to walk away the most important coach of Oregon Ducks history.
Aaron,
and it
that's a lot.
starts with this game because that was not a loss per se. I think
Okay, it
we're
was.
still going the full meal deal. I
Okay.
think Huskies are going to probably, slip on their own damn field and somebody's going to pull a hammy and then that's the end of it for them. They're done. They're done. They don't
You
have any
think
more
they're
wins in
done?
them. They spent all their money on winning this game. Do you know how much money it probably costs to butter an entire field?
All right.
And you have to do it without being seen, which further proves my point that they're using video cloaking devices.
And so where does Joel McHale fit into this? Because he did pick them on game day. He was the celebrity guest picker.
He's just a clown. Who worries about that guy? He's just a clown. He dances for the man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, all that, what you said, could be true. I will leave that at that. But, Aaron, what did you think about the actual, obviously we're against the odds, or against the money makers, the makers, the changers. However, Aaron, what did you think about the actual game itself? Because to me, it was heartbreaking, but objectively, it was one of the better college football games I've seen in a long ass time.
If you remember, last week, Hythloday was all like, the game has already happened, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Guaranteed us a win, I believe.
For me, because this whole weekend, I actually was in a recording session with a dear friend of yours.
Oh, you want to plug them? Plug the band or something?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, fair enough.
But I will say, because of that, I watched the game via DVR. So for me, it was in fact already over. So having that knowledge of whatever happens while I'm watching this, for real, it has happened. So me trying to emote any kind of energy to help push it along.
Yeah, you knew that was my
universal connection. Yeah, my universal connection was not going to render any help in this situation. And so I felt fine about while I was watching it, because even though we failed every time at trying to convert on fourth,
well, yeah,
watching Dan be a badass like that was like, well, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's fucking party, bros. Now then, that being said, I have to say, Camden disappointed me. Disappointed me big time.
He hits the 45-yarder.
Camden.
But the next one, he misses. And the way it really sank right. Like, you could tell the wind was actually really getting to it. I don't know who paid off the wind.
Was it?
But, yeah, you see it sink right really quick. Or are you saying that the field goal post actually moved?
Here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I was in Seattle. It was not a windy or blustery or gusty day. That kid needs to shape up or ship out.
Oh,
and
my God.
Just
you loved him. He was your favorite player not long ago.
Nope. Well, yeah, maybe. But here's where I knew he was doomed. I knew he was doomed because when he came onto the field for the first time for some extra pointage.
Yeah, that's true.
The announcers brought up, he's 3-4. 75%. I think they said he's 75%.
Okay.
And I was like, why are you going to bring up stats like that right now? Like, you can't say that stuff out loud. That's going to, this kid, now you've all but shown that he's that one, that he, the one that he can't get, the 3 out of 4. That's, or the 1 out of 4.
Knew it was going to happen.
And there it was. He did it for us at the end.
I'll tell you this, man. It's the old saying, styles make fights, right? I think that really fits for football.
Hit me with that one more time.
Styles make fights, I believe, is the saying.
What does that mean?
What it means is when you have two teams that have different styles, if you will, different strategies, different ways of this is how we're going to win the game. When there's two different kind of philosophies, that those games a lot of times can absolutely be the most engaging, the most exciting. If you got one team that's just like, we are a defensive team first and foremost, you got another team that's, we want to score 70 on you. When they go against each other, sometimes that can be the most entertaining games. Now, that dichotomy doesn't fit in our matchup with them. But what I did like was how Oregon was very clearly like, we're going to drive down the field. We're not going to turn the ball over. We're going to go for the sure thing. We're going to, go for the boundaries. We're going to try to run right up the gut. We're going to try to make it a balanced, mode of attack. You don't know whether we're going to run. You don't know whether you're going to throw. We are going to take some deep shots, but, those are also going to be when they're open. And then you got Michael Penix, these amazing wide receivers for Washington, and they're just going to go, we're going to bomb it down the field. We're going to be playing 20 yards down, always looking to make huge plays, and we're going to succeed on a lot of those. And that's going to make a lot of the shorter stuff more, possible. And so it was like, you had Oregon marching down the field for 90-yard drives or long methodical drives. And then you had Michael Penix Jr. just bing, bang, boom, flying down the field. And it did make it pretty engaging, even though that doesn't tell the whole story of this game, obviously.
Right. And, watching it too, what I saw, for real, that first touchdown, I was
the Huskies?
Yeah. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
That's what it felt like.
And then we kind of came right back.
Yeah.
And I was like, three and out. Shit.
It was three and out for them, 3 and out for us, and then they just bing, bang, boom, fly down the field.
Right. And then we got ours. And then we got ours on the next drive, too.
We got ours, but even if you remember the first set of downs, it looked pretty rough for us.
Yes, correct. Correct.
It looked pretty gnarly.
So there was a period of time where I was like, oh, shit, please don't let this be a blowout, because the only thing I knew, because I was DVRing it, was that your tell is, you do have a tell. I kind of assumed we were going to lose because you phrased it in such a way that it was like a crazy game, a must watch, right?
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. It's like, well, that sounds like a lot.
I mean, we nearly had it. Some of the amazing moments that I think are kind of being thrown under the bus. Yeah.
This game was fucking crazy. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
That immediately tells me it's a loss. Because whenever we have a really close win that's super tight, you don't say peep.
I don't say
you don't say anything when we win.
Well,
okay. The thing that I saw on the field, though, was that we just looked like a machine that knew exactly what the fuck was going on with this game.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like the Huskies, and correct me if I am wrong here, but it felt like they were constantly having to adapt new ideas to fit around when we wouldn't allow those deep shots.
Well, I'll tell you this. It was clear to anyone watching that in the second half, Tosh Lupoy and Dan Lanning did have some answers to slow down Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of them were few and far between because they did still score pretty quickly when they did, but they dialed up a lot of pressure.
Hythloday warned us about that. He said as long as they can hit deep shots from the middle of the field, they're going to get touchdowns, but as soon as they hit the red zone, it turns to shit.
Well, I mean, they had some success there too, but I agree.
They did.
Because we also stopped them on the goal line stand, which would have been a huge deal.
Doing that alone in Husky Stadium is like, I don't give a shit if we lost. Did you remember how we just blocked you? The only reason why you won that game is because we got a fucking kicker we didn't even want in the first place.
Oh my God. You're going to put it all on Cameron Lewis. It's the last thing you remember is the thing you're going to, it's his fault. No, I'll tell you this. I mean, we played aggressive. We played to win. If one of these shots would have gone in, who would have known? It's a game of a million different plays, though. It's a game of a million different plays. We just got done playing a stone cold classic, and unfortunately, we didn't lose. I mean, we didn't win. However, it took place in Seattle. It took place against probably the best offense in all of college football, and we almost beat them. And we know what we need to do.
I want to bring this up.
Let's hear it.
I just want to do a mid-season reminder.
Okay.
At the beginning of this season, I laid a small little fact nugget, I believe during one of the pick'ems that we did with Hythloday.
A fact nugget, aka a fugget, but continue.
Yeah, a fugget. That I watched one TikTok of this guy kind of break down what's going on with the Huskies.
Okay.
And he literally was like, I think they're kind of the dark horse that could go to the fucking Natty.
What, you a Husky fan now? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying, I brought it up. And here we are. They're undefeated still against us, who are about to go as close to all the way as you possibly can.
You don't think we're making it to the playoffs, is what you're saying? You think
I don't think they're going to allow us in. I think they're assholes who bet against us because we have Nike money, which just makes us the bad guys. But we're the misunderstood bad guys, Adam. That's why the Huskies were able to pay off referees to let the good guys win this game.
Well, let me tell you this, Aaron. This is the path. This is the clear path to, if this happens, we make the playoffs.
Yeah.
If any of this doesn't happen, we don't. Which, to be fair,
Good God, it only takes one little thing to not happen and we don't go?
Oh, yeah. Well, but let me say this.
But that was the same as last year, and last year we sucked.
It's the same thing for every single year, okay? This is how it goes.
Okay, you just have to remind me. I get it. That makes sense.
First of all, it's this. In my personal opinion, I don't even care if we make the playoffs. I want to make the Pac-12 championship game is my main and basically only goal, and then to win it. Because I want to win the Pac-12. That's all I care about.
I want it to be the Huskies, and I want to eat their lunch.
You want them to make the Pac-12 championship game is what you're saying, too.
Oh, yeah. I want to play the Huskies in that and then just beat the shit out of them.
Well, let me lay out some interesting paths here, and many Duck fans everyone knows this is the goal, okay? So, if we lose another Pac-12 game, well, we only have Pac-12 games left, but if we lose another game, we're out of the playoffs, period. We're not making it with 2 losses, even if we win every single one.
Nobody does.
Yeah, so who cares about that? But if we win every single game, then we are definitely making it to the Pac-12 championship game. If we drop another game, it's still possible. Probably even it's still possible, but it becomes much less likely. Much less likely. It's not in our own control at that point. Most likely, anyways. Drop any more than 1, and the odds are so small that we would make it to the championship game because it's just the 2 best Pac-12 teams are going to make it. So you'd be relying on teams like USC, Oregon State really kind of falling off cliffs. Same with Utah and Washington dropping probably at least 1, 2 or something like that.
You heard it here first. I had a vision, and I shit you not. I think there is a very strong possibility that USC biffs it for the rest of the season.
You're calling that, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm calling it right now, right here, right now. I bet USC doesn't win a single game for the rest of the season.
All right. Well, interesting take.
We'll see.
Listeners, we recorded this before the second half of this podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Aaron is trying to take credit for someone's claim in the future and trying to say it's his own idea. Just so you know. Right. He thought that he could get away with it and I wouldn't pull it out and point him out. But anyways.
You know we're time travelers. Why wouldn't you just let me time travel this one last time? I know when we came back, you said we had to give it up, but I just wanted one last little treat around the block, man.
No, it's like meth. You need to stop, Aaron. But Aaron, so it is that simple. Like, maybe we can lose one more game and make the Pac-12 championship game. Who knows? But let me give you this scenario. This is pretty unlikely, but actually a possibility. Like, kind of worth talking about. Anyways, it would be fun to think about. Something that could happen if all the coin flips went our way and such. Let's say we go undefeated all the way to the end of the regular season, okay? We beat our toughest opponents and the easy ones. The hardest games would definitely be at Utah, which, Utah's flawed, but that's still a really tough environment. Salt Lake City, like, that's going to be a hard game to win. We beat USC in Eugene. USC's kind of not looking great, but still potent offense. Could definitely do it. Very talented team. And then at the end of the season, we beat the Beavers, get that revenge. That's in Eugene, so hopefully in our favor, but who knows. So we go undefeated. We are 11-1. That would definitely get us in the Pac-12 championship game.
Well, that's what I predicted for the season.
You did. Now, let's say we're 11-1.
Dude.
We go to the Pac-12 championship game. 1 second. We go to the Pac-12 championship game. Washington, let's say they do something unlikely. They win every single goddamn game of the regular season. They are 12-0, something no team has ever done in the Pac-12 era. In the Pac-12 era, no one's ever done it. Let's say they do it. So it's
let's say I break the quarterback's knees.
How dare you? Michael Penix is actually cool. How can you watch that game and not be like Michael Penix?
I will say this. This is what I did want to say, and I'm sorry for interrupting you on a big point. But when you can do that, fucking do that. Do it all the time. It was I can't wait till he's in the pros, and I hope he's able to drop it like that there. So it's just really fun to watch him shine on a field where I don't have to hate him by job requirement.
Yeah. It'd be great if he was
but for now, I'm going to break that motherfucker's knees.
Okay, well. we were coming at him. He was injured, and credit to him.
Oh, brother. They were raw. That made it even more like, this motherfucker. He's a Heisman clearly fucking hobbling out there. He was doing the job and scoring a touchdown still.
Yeah, exactly. This game was so much like last year's game, except it kind of hurt because it's like similar in ways where it's like we blew a lead, we slipped on a crucial when we were trying to run out the clock. We literally slip on the fucking ground and don't make it. Not only that, but it was like one quarterback is injured and hobbled and comes out there and tries to win it. Unfortunately, this time it's them, and they do.
Yeah.
Win. But anyways, so let's say Michael Penix continues his Heisman run, basically.
I mean, amen to him if he can do it. It seems like you bought it, but whatever.
So 12-0, 12-0 Washington, 11-1 Oregon meet in the Pac-12 championship game. Let's say that neutral field in Vegas, let's say Oregon wins, okay?
Yeah.
And wins like it's a close game, but yes, they win. At that point, if you're looking at 12-1 Oregon Pac-12 champion and 12-1 Pac-12 runner-up. Huskies has-beens, but only loss is to a really, really good, at that point, probably that'd be like definitely top 10 Oregon, maybe top 5 Oregon if we're in that scenario. In that case, I would believe it's actually likely, or at least plausible, but I would say likely in that scenario, Washington and Oregon make the playoffs. That is a possibility. There's precedent in the past.
You know what I was going to say? It's funny. That's so funny because I was going to make a joke that, if we beat them in the Pac-12 championship, then it seems like the most obvious thing is to wait a month and have a rematch.
That's what it'd be, dude.
And just see who gets the best out of 3.
That's the most. That is obviously. I mean, that would be the most legendary way to end the Pac-12.
Season! I'm telling you, Dan Lanning is going down as the greatest coach of Oregon history. Not in our lifetimes, but our grandchildren will sit around the fires of a broken society, and they will tell stories of a mythical being that once led an army of indestructible amphibious creatures to the promised land, baby.
So you're saying he's going to win us a national championship. That's the only way for him to be more legendary than the coaches before him, is for him to actually win the national championship.
He's going to win 3. What are you talking about? We're beginning the season of, we're going to have 5 of these things by the time he's done. But right now we're going this season, we're going next season, we're going season after that.
You heard it here first, folks. And again, before we go into commercial and bring in our wonderful guests, Hythloday of Addicted
Wait, no,
Quack.
I have a question for you, though, because I do have a pretty... There's obviously, I don't pay attention to the numbers and the stats and the who's-its and the what's-its.
Yes.
I saw and heard of a number of people getting injured. What do we look like on the injury report?
We actually are looking great. Jaleel Florence. Good. Yeah, Jaleel Florence is back in practice. Kyrie Jackson played in that game. There was that one point when both corners went down on one play against a team with an elite passing.
That's what I'm like.
And we were down. It felt like we were done. So it's an amazing accomplishment, even though one came back. I think it's just, and I was about to say this, it's amazing to be talking this optimistically. We're homers, and we're more on the bright, cheery side than Duck fans who are literally asking for Dan Lanning's head.
And is that real? People really think that's the appropriate answer here?
Oh, sure. Well, people were being like, he's too aggressive, didn't go for the field goals. We lost by 3 points. Whatever. In my opinion, I think it's the opinion of this podcast. Or talking for you two.
Football is not for passing flowers back and forth.
I don't know what that means, but
it means we fucking go hard.
Quack 12 podcast, I would say that was a nuts game. We just played against it. Huskies, they're terrible. We hate them, but we played it against a great team. Yeah. We showed we were great. Yeah. We lost. It sucks.
In the greatest fashion.
I'm still so stoked for this team. So stoked to see if we can get the Pac-12 championship game. If we lose again, we'll talk about what that means in future. But right now, I'm still on this hype train.
And this is what's great, is that once a duck, always a duck.
There you go.
You're still on the hype train, but you've definitely packed your bag in case you need to quickly jump off.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Of course.
No, I'm on this thing all the way to the cliff. We're going to fall off of it together, brother. You and me. It's an 11-1 season for us.
Hand in hand.
And then it's going to be a 12-1 championship. And then it's going to be a 13-1 beating them in the playoffs. And then we're going to the national championship. And then we're getting it. And then Dan Lanning will try to be poached by... I don't know.
He will try to be poached?
That means no, sorry. Yeah, you know what I mean? Somebody's going to try and take him away, but he's going to go, no thanks.
Wow.
Come back to Oregon for the less money, because what he wants is to have a ring on... He wants a ring on every finger that can hold the weight.
Wow. You know what's even more this is truly like if you wrote a script, the Duck fans' perfect season. Because it's even better, it would have been better if we won in Seattle. That would have been an awesome win. Holy cow.
I think we did enough embarrassing things to them during that game that they know they know how they won that game. They know.
Money is what they cheated. Fair enough.
Cheated.
I like this idea of every single time we lose, we come in here and we say they cheated. I'm not too,
Facts.
big to do that.
Adam,
yeah, just
I've
facts.
got video footage of
Tell us what they do
Sasquatches buttering the Husky field. I got footage of it.
Well, check this out. So 11. You couldn't write a better script than okay, we barely lose in Seattle. That is our only loss of the season, but it sets up for this epic, hypothetical Pac-12 championship game. We win in Vegas, and then the Rose Bowl happens to be one of the playoff bowl games. So we could even this would be unthinkable like even 10 years ago or something like that, but we could meet Washington for the first ever Oregon versus Washington Rose Bowl game, which literally was impossible not that long ago. But because of all this weird stuff, Oregon versus Washington in the Rose Bowl. So we beat them while also collecting a Rose Bowl and then win the national championship. That is actually possible. And unlikely, but possible.
Well, here's the big question for you.
Take us on one last question before break. But what do you got?
All right, yeah. What does this mean for money whenever we go and kick it over to this new
Big Ten?
Yeah.
We're actually going to be making a little less money because we had to take a lower deal. But in the grand scheme...
Wait, we're not able to come back to the table and be like, look, motherfuckers, we're the national champions.
We can't renegotiate because you get bonuses and stuff for winning all these things. But, I don't know.
I would just be like, I've decided I'm not going to play.
We just go independent.
And we're not going to allow the national championship title to be contested until I've decided to play.
Well, I'm glad you thought that out for us. Aaron, let's go to commercial.
Let's get out of here.
We'll
be back with Hythloday, folks.
Absolutely. Quack, quack.
Quack, quack.
Well, Aaron, hate to say it, but the time machine is broken.
I mean, this whole thing was running off the power of your cell phone. And obviously, when we hit 1894, there's no longer cell service or Wi-Fi connection, so...
Not gonna lie, I did not think this through.
God almighty, Adam, what are we supposed to do now?
I mean, we're in Eugene, Oregon in 1894. We could check out the very first duck game. Maybe it's a good thing.
No, it's not good. Look, we've already been here for about 5 days, and the very first thing I learned living in Eugene, Oregon, is that shows have been banned that are quote-unquote unchaste and demoralizing. And that's kind of the only kind of content we know how to make, dude.
We could review every duck season as it happens.
Even the children here are freaky.
Then post it on the Quack 12 Patreon in the future.
I mean, it's just really hard to not spoil, tragic national events.
Imagine it, a weekly show dedicated to Oregon football history with two charismatic time-traveling stoner hosts.
We live in the most expensive house in Eugene, and it's a fucking shack.
And the most beautiful thing about it? We can charge them a measly $5 in the future. And when we get it in the past, we'll be freaking millionaires comparatively. And I'm talking robber baron status, baby.
Adam, I make bugs fight in a shoebox just to simulate television.
All listeners would have to do is go to patreon.com/quack12 and sign up for hundreds of hours of duck entertainment.
But the hooch is good. In fact, it's kind of got me wanting to try my own hand at it.
That's right. For a measly $5 a month, that's patreon.com/quack12. Now let's go watch them lemon yellows give those hay seeds what for.
And keep your eye out for Dr. Schroeder's blueberry wine.
Oh, Aaron.
Quack, quack. Oh, baby.
What a time. Look at us. Midway through the app, look, you and I.
Look, I've obviously said my piece. I've gotten things outside of my chest and onto a recorded medium. So now I think it's time for everybody's favorite cool down session with maybe my favorite guest. I like to think of him as like a twin brother, a brother of knowledge and to find things in life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I like to think of him as the film reviewer and managing editor for Addicted to Quack, the #1 Oregon Ducks website, according to the Quack 12. Just leave it at that. Don't look into it. That is right. Hythloday 1. Hythloday, how are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing meh, because we had because we lost to a rival at the same time. It's hard to walk away from that game and not be like, God damn, that was an instant classic that unfortunately fell on the wrong side of the coin for us. How are you coping with this loss right now?
I mean, as we discussed last week, the game had already occurred. There was no coping to be done. Like this game happened within the parameters that, was outlaid in the way that Huskies film had shown to date and Oregon's film had shown to date. I was prepared for there were no real surprises. There was a bit of a surprise in the amount that the Huskies ran the ball outside of the red zone in the beginning of the game, although that effect quickly disappeared almost to nothingness. So that minor quibble aside, everything that happened in this game was something that I had already contemplated and prepared for. So I have done no coping. That is the purpose of film study. That is the reason that I started doing this so long ago.
So I should just be grateful we're not in the universe where Bo Nix tears his ACL and it was a Washington blowout and the Ducks' head fell off again and it was revealed to be Jake Browning or something like that. We don't live in that universe.
Sure, you should be grateful that you do not live in that universe.
All right. But we don't live in the universe as well where we convert on all three of those crucial fourth downs that everyone's talking about so much. And I bet you're already...
That's true.
Yeah. I bet you're already a little bit... Yeah?
It's the best integration of baseball rules that I've ever seen in the sport of football.
What's that? Those three strikes
and you're out.
Yeah. I bet you, I don't know, maybe you're already a little bit tired of, of the amount of importance the fan base and everyone has put on these plays. And they were, crucially important, as important as any play can be, really. And there's been a lot of discussion, like there's some, I would say morons, but to each their own, who are basically being like, Dan Lanning, we should fire him. That was absolutely idiotic. He should have taken the free points. You should
because Cam Lewis is automatic, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a bunch of I feel like it's safe to say, especially like that 1 4th down that we didn't get, the second one in the third quarter. That one was easily justifiable because they started deep in their own territory and we ended up getting the ball and we scored again. And so even results wise, it still felt pretty acceptable. That first one right before the half was obviously it's a calculated risk. How do you feel about that calculated risk? How do you feel about
that one? I mean,
plays?
there is a 0% chance. If you don't get it, there's a 0% chance that the Huskies get the ball back and then drive the field and score, right? Because it's the very end of the second of the first half. Mm-hmm. And so, it's only the opportunity cost, the analytics. I mean, look, man, there are several, if you don't believe me, there are several analytics calculators that exist online. They all exist for free. You can look up any of them. All of them say go for it. All of them say to go for it in every one of those, situations. The final one. I mean, think about what happened, the final one, right? Where, if Oregon gets it on that 4th down, the game is over, right? Mm-hmm. So then think about, all of this, four of the things need to happen for the Huskies to win the game. Oregon has to not get that fourth down.
Mm-hmm.
The Huskies then have to
Got it.
They then have to get the touchdown.
Yeah.
Check. Yeah, they got it.
They then have to stop Oregon from getting a touchdown.
Yeah,
they then have to have Oregon miss the field goal to tie it.
Oh boy, how do you
wins
Which, like, all four of those things happen, right? Like,
yeah.
This mother.
I know. Well, okay. Look, I will first answer your question about like the decision making on fourth down. I will then dismiss the question as being a silly one, and
Fair
then
enough.
I will discuss about how sort of the larger, like, why this maybe was worth talking about after all.
And if you could maybe also the specific plays too, I'm very interested because I like the aggressiveness. I'd like to know your thoughts.
Okay,
on maybe those specific
all right.
plays.
I can talk about the specific play calls. I guess that will be 1.5. The decision to go for it on all four of those fourth downs was the correct decision, analytically and strategically. Aggressive play calling is the identity of the team. Analytically, like any calculator will tell you, it raises your odds more than it lowers your odds. You should go for it if it raises your odds of winning the game more than lowering your odds of winning the game. The specific play calls, means I have to pull them up now, don't I? Let's see.
The funny thing is that, like, it might make sense analytically, but it doesn't look like it makes sense.
Well, I mean,
So
they don't look like it makes sense
physical
post talk
realm.
because they didn't work, right? Which is
didn't
like
work, yeah.
that is
Right.
that's right. Like that's how we can tell, like, anybody who is saying that is not a serious person or is not a serious analyst or is speaking from their emotions. If I'm being
he's calling
generous,
you not a
Yeah,
serious
all
analyst.
three of those things are me.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so let's see this the one that happened at the very end of the. Okay, let me actually discuss the sequence a little bit.
Sure.
So the one that happens at the end of the first half, Oregon's in the red zone. The 1st and 10 play is he throws a corner out to Trayshawn Holden. It was the appropriate play call. They got the look that they wanted. The clip is in my article that went up this morning.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good throw. Like they arranged it properly. You know, they were in 12 personnel. They got a 3-by-1. They got the look that they wanted. It was single coverage. The defender was able to cause Trayshawn Holden to try to catch it with only one arm, which he was unable to do. I'll just let your listeners think about that for a second. The second, the next play call was the throw to Tez Johnson in the flat. It was an excellent throw. Now it's 3rd and 3. That play call is a swing pass. It would have scored a touchdown. It was actually set. I thought it was an appropriate 3rd down play call. It was well designed. It's just the Huskies blitzed on it, and Cornelius and Harper. One of them slipped on the turf. That's actually something that I spent a lot of time talking about in my article. Something is wrong with Alaska Airlines field, and not just in this game. Like when I was doing my film study, and it didn't happen in 2022 earlier, they did something to their turf this year. I don't know what it is, but
I was wondering about that because that was this is his own field.
Yeah, but Aaron, I'm telling you, in all 3 of their previous home games against Boise State, Tulsa, and Cal.
Tulane. Cal, yeah, I get you.
And it wasn't just the visitors either. It's not like the home team had like some secret advantage with their cleats or something.
Right.
Like everybody constantly is skating around on that turf.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it was happening in this game too. In fact, I actually think on balance, Oregon got a little better advantage of it. But like 31% of plays in this game, at least one player slips and is not in the position that he needs to be, and it affects the play.
Just
in
makes
some
some
way.
Entertaining football, don't it?
Well,
they grease the field. From saying.
Yeah.
So, put
We
a
got
pin.
no butter on that field.
Anyway, put a pin in that because I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Anyway, so somebody slips on that play, the protection doesn't hold up, and Bo Nix gets a bad throw off. Like I said, if he had gotten the throw off, it's a touchdown because Washington is not in a position to defend it properly. So now it's the fourth down play call. It's 4th and 3, but the reason that I talked about the previous 3 plays, like Oregon did totally appropriate things on the previous 3 plays. The 4th and 3, they go for it. They call a rollout flood play. I didn't like it. I thought that was a bad play call. Like that's not. I don't like that play call in the red. When you're on the goal line, the defense is compressed too much. I would have called almost literally anything else in the Oregon playbook at this point in time. So yeah, I agree with the critics who have said I like the decision to go for it on 4th down. I don't like that play call. I can't count me among their number on that one. All right, next is what's the next 4th down? It's the one.
It's the goal. It's on goal. It's in the 3rd quarter. They end up.
Oh yeah, here I found it. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is this one is also in my article. This one I sort of put on Bo Nix. First of all, I like the decision to go forward is analytically proper. Second of all, the play call is proper. It's the look that they want. They've engineered it correctly in order to get, the single coverage. It's against a defender who I think that Troy Franklin is perfectly capable of beating. I think that Bo Nix just places the ball incorrectly. He puts it on Franklin. It's a comeback route. It's in the red zone. It's 4th and 3. They don't need the touchdown in order to convert. It's 4th and 3 from the Huskies, I think 8-yard line. So meaning they only need to get to the 5-yard line to convert and get a fresh set of downs. So like Franklin gets to like the 1-yard line and then, breaks back on the comeback. So he's got like plenty of room. He can come back farther and still achieve the first down. Nick should have placed it on his upfield shoulder, meaning closer to him, not closer to the post. And in that way, the defender would have had no chance to defend it. But Nix places it kind of low and kind of too close to the defender, and the defender has the opportunity to break up the ball. That's another play where the defender causes it to be the case that Franklin tries to catch the ball with one arm.
Okay. Yeah. I get you.
So
we should start doing that move. That sounds really effective.
Can I ask about a random, or it's not a random play. It's kind of it's a touchdown play for the Huskies, but it's something that I noticed when they actually replayed it on TV.
Okay.
Which is that one of the Husky linemen very much appears to grab one of our guys' face masks and like pulled him. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
Do you remember?
I don't have any of those. I have.
It's a Husky touchdown.
I mean, I have a
like
shit ton of. I mean, I've got a shit ton of uncalled holding flags.
Okay, wow.
Like, I'll quit playing coy. I mean, the Huskies were constantly holding Oregon defensive linemen. I mean, something like 15% of all snaps, they were committing obvious holding flags, and they didn't get flagged a single time. I mean, honestly, the Huskies are one of the most penalized teams in college football,
right.
And the fact that they only had 5 penalties, 3 of which were like silly little procedurals, and didn't have a single holding flag. Well, they were like in the Arizona game. Not the stoutest defense in the world. They had 4 holding flags, And then for like Mike Varell, their beat reporter for the Times, to be like, the greatest testament to this team is that they played a totally clean game on their offensive line. What amazing offensive line improvement. Like, what a credulous thing to say. Wait, like, congratulations on the journalism, dude.
You got any theories on maybe what's happening there with all that?
I don't. Now, Dan, sorry. So there,
Vegas?
to say, I'm sorry. I don't have any such flags or any such missed flags, Aaron. I don't think anybody grabbed anybody the face mask. I don't have anything like that.
Huh. Okay. I'll have to go dig up the archival
Dig up
footage.
the tape. You bring
I will.
up the
I'll dig
tape
up the
next
tape.
week.
I know they replay it during halftime, so I know exactly where to go.
So it's the first half.
Because that's when I
okay.
saw it.
Aaron will bring that back for next week.
I'll
don't
bring
worry.
it in, baby doll.
All right. The last fourth down is.
I mean, that
let's
one.
see, what they call it? They called an out route to Tez Johnson.
Mhm.
Boy, I don't really have a whole lot of notes on that one. I'm not sure. I think they probably should have just run the ball.
Yeah. I mean, it felt obvious to me to.
Okay. Sorry, I'm remembering the play now. Like there was a bad. I'm sorry. Just the camera angle wasn't great on it. I didn't really see what the coverage was. I didn't really see. It was the pass fell incomplete, and it was sort of like nowhere near Tez Johnson. And I was like, what's going on here? And I couldn't really tell. I didn't really love throwing the ball on fourth down. I think what I probably would have done was just like run, because like ultimately the Huskies like their rush. I mean, let me back out a little bit. You didn't ask me this question. Probably should have. Oregon's offensive success rates, both efficiency and explosiveness in this game are
awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, Oregon has it's 62.5% efficiency rate passing the ball. It's 68.4% rushing the ball. They're 20%. Almost 21% explosiveness passing the ball. They're 18.5% rushing the ball. Like, I know they got stopped on some crucial times, but look,
James
man,
also broke through a whole bunch of shit a whole bunch of times.
Well, yeah,
too.
When you're rushing at 60, when you have like a 60 or 65 or whatever percent success rate, that means you're still losing on 40%. Hey, look, man, championship caliber isn't 100%. No one is at 100%, and sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Is that on painful times, that's when your failures come, put a pin in that. But look, man, Oregon probably, to the extent that I have some criticism to the play calling, it's simply look, man, just line up and either pound the ball, or I think actually there probably should have been a little more outside running in this game. The Huskies sort of had a real vulnerability to outside running that Oregon sort of refused to exploit, which I thought was a little weird. This is a very inside run dominated game plan when I think a little more balanced, and when I say balance I mean balance between inside and outside. It's about 54% inside zone, about 36% gap schemes, and only about 10% or so outside zone, which is I think I would have liked a little more kind of even between those three categories, because that reflects a little more what the Huskies' vulnerabilities were. Anyway, there are some other good things about the way they're running the ball. They had Nix as more of a run threat, which opened up the RPO game a little bit more. There's some clips in my article about how it opened up the RPO game. Just the threat of him running was all that was necessary for that. Let's see. As to the question of why are you asking me about specific single plays? Look, man, in a close game, here's the deal. There's something there's something like 150 unique snaps in this game. Okay, any one of them matter. The idea that this single play was the play that mattered and fire Dan Lanning, or celebrate Kalen DeBoer because he nailed it on that play. as Bill Connolly did, which is like another dumb decision. And not that like Kalen DeBoer doesn't deserve accolades, he does, but like if you read Connolly's article about it, it's idiotic because it's like, let me talk about this play, and just like moron. For an analytically inclined dude, like that's not how. Anyway, the look, man, like literally every play that doesn't end in a touchdown or doesn't end in a turnover that also results in a touchdown for the defense is a play that could have gone better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I get what you mean.
All I'm saying is that on a touchdown pass, I clearly saw a face mask.
Well, that one
really
play
kind of matters because that's points.
I don't know about that, but the look, in a game with like, I mean, that's the thing you will keep yourself up at night, saying what if, because you can do that about literally every play, except for like the 6 plays in this game that were a touchdown or a turnover, because every play could have gone better.
What also makes me laugh is how many people will say something like, well, if only we would have gotten the field goal right before the half, we lost by 3 points, therefore it would have been a tie. Because it's just like, if you get that let's say you get the field goal right before the half, butterfly effect, every other decision from that is then changed.
Right, exactly. Like everybody's like, let's edit the timeline. Yeah, exactly. But it's like, hey, man, were you really proud of that 15-yard run? Wouldn't you, what if it got 30 yards?
Right.
Now this, hey, were you really proud of that, of that stuff? Like, what if that were a tackle for loss? Like every play could have gone better. And would have changed, the dynamic of the game. Now that it's a punt, for the opponent instead, like the idea that like these are the key plays. This is always what drives me up the wall about listening to people who are not really analysts, cosplaying as analysts when they get on their podcasts or whatever, and they'll say like, let's talk about the key plays in this game. Every play is a key play.
Yeah.
Especially in a game that is, decided by, 3 points and which goes down to literally the final play of the game. Every play is a key play. And every play that you can pick and alter the timeline and say this would have changed the outcome of the game, because it is literally true that any play you can pick and alter the timeline and it would change the outcome of the game. That's what happens in a game that's decided by 3 points that goes down to the wire. Like,
hey, let me ask you this. End of the day.
Yeah.
Does Dan Lanning come off looking like a badass? Because I think he kind of does, right?
I like the mentality a lot, honestly.
I was like, that's some like swanging.
Yeah.
I mean,
we used to call Chip Kelly Big Balls Chip. It's like Dan Lanning is truly bringing that exact same kind of energy.
I think
maybe
he should
a little
be called
more
Swinging Dick Dan.
That's not bad, actually. That is not bad.
Here's what I just read off, what the efficiency and explosiveness numbers are, because that's how an analyst approaches this. And like, here's what I'll say about Dan Lanning as, like, not somebody who's cosplaying as an analyst, but as like an actual like data scientist and an analyst. And like, I don't put on a costume. My analyst costume
for everybody else.
Yeah.
Like my costume is like my analyst costume is my pajama pants, which is what I'm wearing right now.
The way I think it's best summed up was in Return of the Living Dead, when it's the really cool older punk rocker standing on top of a mausoleum. This is a way of life.
I know exactly what movie you're talking about, and I agree. But continue.
Anyway,
continue.
The job of a coach is to prepare your team to, and by prepare, I mean to recruit, to train, to develop, to construct your roster, to assemble your coaching staff, to write your playbook offensively and defensively, to game plan, to analyze the opponent, to discover their strengths and weaknesses, to match up your strengths and weaknesses and figure out how those puzzle pieces fit, to prepare your team in such a way that when you are playing an inferior opponent, you run them off the field. And when you are playing a good opponent, that your team is in a position to keep it close.
Yeah. Dude, I felt like even though we failed at them, I felt like I was watching Washington sweat during it. You know what I mean?
Because that's all it is, man, is like the question of whether or not, in this type of game, the question of whether or not you win in a razor margin game, it comes down to such ephemeral matters that
like
those
floating backwards while grabbing a pass
that it is so preposterously asinine to talk about, like, well, the coach has command of those and let's give me a break. The coach the coach crossed the bar, which was preparing the team to be competitive against a very high quality opponent. And by the way, also crossed the bar against the first part of the question, which was preparing the team well enough to run inferior opponents off the field because, hey, look at their previous games. Like, that's it. The job of the coach is preparation. Like, the job of the coach is the other 6 days of the week and the off season and the structure. And what actually happens on Saturdays is, I mean, you might as well be rolling dice.
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. You could even go back, look at dynasty runs. You can look at, like, whole coaching careers, someone who's a legend, someone who's a flop. Like, not always is this true, but, like, so many of those things are, like you said, like, dice rolls. Like, when you take into place, like, injuries, specific strengths on weaknesses, game by game, like, just complete randomness. It truly all is. Also,
I mean, not complete randomness, but
the
randomness.
Better team with the better roster typically is going to find a way to win.
But like in a game that's close, in which both coaches have done their jobs in perhaps different ways, but still arrived at, perhaps circuitously differently, but arrived at the finish line of preparing their teams to be high quality teams, like that like what will actually transpire on Saturday and determine that the outcome is like the flap of a butterfly's wings, man. What are you sweating about it for? Like, when I do perform the analytic process and write it up, like, you will hardly even find a mention in my article of the outcome of the game. Because, like, I'm here to dive in. What do the numbers say about Oregon going forward? What were their success rates? What were their strategic decisions? How did they prepare the team? How might they, if the opportunity arises for a rematch, what strategic decisions might they make a little differently? Because, like, that's the job of serious analysis. Not like, hey, could you relitigate 4th down number 2?
Not just to write a whole ass article that's just gonna be like some boring ass old school coach.
Yeah, we have a word for that.
You always take the points. You always take the points.
I mean, we have a word for that. Unfortunately, like, nobody except for maybe like 16th century monks know it. It's called casuistry. Just look it up.
I certainly don't know that one.
Well, I'm just waiting for the Disney adaptation of the game. Honestly, that's the part I'm most.
Well, I'm still waiting for the Disney adaptation of the Alamo Bowl because they actually have the rights to that game. So.
When people have asked me, hey, if the opportunity arises for this game to be replayed on a neutral site, be that in Las Vegas or potentially the playoffs, what may be different? I think there are a couple of strategic decisions that I might do differently. The Oregon on defense blitzed on about 25% of Washington's dropbacks. wrote my preview article, I was pretty emphatic that I thought any amount of blitzing was too much blitzing. I thought it was very clear from Penix's tape over the last year and a half in this system that blitzing is always a bad idea. That's too long to get into. You can read my article, but basically, the outcome of this game, I think, confirmed that theory, although in a little more nuanced way, which was essentially Oregon reduced the yardage that Washington would get when Oregon blitzed. Washington would average fewer yards per play than when they didn't blitz. However, their success rate and their conversion rate would go up. So essentially, blitzing turned Washington into a more methodical team. Higher success rate, lower yards per play. And that bargain is not worth it. Because they're still going to march the field and score touchdowns. You want it to be the other way around. You want them to I'll give up the extra 2 yards per play, but there's a higher chance that you'll fail because my real goal, going back to your baseball metaphor, Mr. Schroeder, is 3 strikes and you're out. Right?
I loved it.
First down, second down, third down, punt.
Yeah.
Is stringing together 3 defensive wins in a row and getting them to punt.
That's the problem. We're not playing the right sport.
So blitzing, that would be one strategic decision that I would make differently. I would there's 2 other things that I wanted to, 3 other things that may be different. Number 1 is the playing surface. I can't stress this enough. It was really weird, the effect that the playing surface had on this game on both teams, on both offenses and defenses.
That late James run certainly comes to mind, just like he did last year.
But it's all over the field. It's not just the skill position players. It's the blockers. It's the defenders. It's when you start looking for it, it is all over the field that people are slipping, and then they're suddenly this game had about 9 more points, combined points, than the model predicted it would have. And it's because frequently, dudes in coverage are not where they're supposed to be because they slip out of the break. I'm not joking about that even a little bit, and it's difficult to disentangle. So if this game is played again in Las Vegas or some sunny weather climate, which is where bowl games typically are played, I forget exactly where the playoff games are, but they are always in sunny places. Probably won't be an issue. So the major thing will be, or at least a thing that I won't have to disentangle if I have to do film study on that.
I can put you at ease on this one actually, because it's a pretty well known fact around Seattle that Amazon has put microplastics in our rain. So it is just constantly coating everything in a slick Teflon type surface.
I also have no doubt that Husky Stadium constitutes the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, of the land. And then the other thing is, look, I don't want to belabor it. Every week I say I don't want to belabor it, and then I wind up doing so. But I thought that the home crowd effect had some effects on the officiating.
Oh, sure.
Sure. Yeah, they're cheaters, all of them. That's the only reason.
And then the last thing that I'll say is, look, man, there were a number of sequences. I was talking about one of them, with that final 4th down sequence in which everything, everything that has to happen in order for Washington to win the game did happen. Or look at the 4th downs, which I promised you that I would say, maybe it was worth talking about 4th downs afterward. There's 6 4th down calls in this game. Both teams go for it on 4th down 3 times.
Hey, can I ask
Oregon
you a question?
goes 0 for 3 and Washington goes 2 for 3, meaning, of the 6 times, Washington wins 5 times, right? Washington goes 5 for 6. on fourth downs, that's an improbably high rate that probably won't repeat if this game gets played again. That's another, like, I guess, I'll put it this way. Like, I with a decade's worth of charting experience and having charted like literally thousands of games, like I've developed sort of a, rudimentary model, based on, what happens when teams with these two different like profiles, meet, what happens, and, what are the probabilities of outcomes, and like it outperforms advanced statistical models because of the garbage in, garbage out problem that they deal with, and I don't have to deal with because I'm charting games and I get direct non-garbage inputs. And what the numbers in this game and the numbers prior to this game predicted was that, if this game were played on a neutral site 100 times, Oregon would probably win somewhere between 65 and 70 of them. And we just happen to live in one of the strands of the multiverse in which,
where two corners go out at the exact same time.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That's what I wanted to ask. Really quick.
I'm not saying that Washington cheated or anything, but I am saying that, like, on balance, more things that are unlikely to repeat in the future went Washington's way. Not all of them went Washington's way. Some things went Oregon's way. I'm not trying to deny that. But, like, on balance, I think if this game were played many more times, what the numbers suggest is that Oregon would win more times than not, and we just happen to live in one of the universes in which Washington won.
Good shit.
I'm sorry, Aaron. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just curious if the Huskies actually gained any real advantage from both corners going out at the same time, and then one came back pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yes, Kyrie Jackson did come back. I think he was probably just in pain and they gave him a Toradol shot. I'm speculating about that. Florence did not return.
Right.
And it was interesting because they put Triquez Bridges back in for him, which, like, the much maligned Triquez Bridges, who then did great for, like, immediately the Huskies started targeting him. But he did great for 4 or 5 plays, and then he got beat. But it's sort of like you're going to get beat by these guys.
Yeah.
He got beat at and this is sort of like, again, putting on my analyst's pajamas. He got beat at a lower rate than you would have predicted, which is a win.
Right.
Overall,
honestly, end of the day, the way that this game played out, I still feel like it kind of was a win, because if there's anything, it's Dan Lanning kind of feels is going to do what he says he's going to do.
From an analytical perspective, from an analytical perspective, yeah.
Going for it, the mentality of going for it and instilling in the team, which I don't like to say this all like rah stuff, but there's also truth to it that, like, if you want your team to be this juggernaut that is, like, both offensively and defensively, you're saying we're gonna swing for the fences basically.
We're not
every
here
time.
for clicks, Adam.
You know what I mean? We're not here for clicks. We're here for the win. We're
here for the win.
Instilling that mentality means having these moments like this where you're like, a field goal safer. We're going for the touchdown so we can get a fucking lead going into the half. And I'm honestly pretty happy with it.
Every high school kid is going to want to come here after they watch that fucking game.
Hey.
Well, did you see Bo Nix's? Did you see Bo Nix's, like, locker room comments about?
It's pretty amazing. Yeah,
I was just like, it was remarkably mature.
And then Dan Lanning said, "My bad," basically, like, throw my. I
mean, every coach does that, but like, hey, look, man, I deal with people who are 2 or 3 times Bo Nix's age on a regular basis who don't deal with adversity in half that level of maturity.
They're everywhere. Fucking zombies.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now let us bury this game and send it to hell because we got more games to talk about. Thank you for that. That's a gunshot to it, Husky, I guess. Right. Anyways, let's get into it.
Evil Dead style.
Oh, yeah, baby. The picks. Everybody's favorite segment, the picks. Now, we got a whole bunch of games or a whole bunch of teams going into their bye week. Let's get into those. First of all, we got the number 12 Beavers. The Beavers who beat the Bruins in the way that many teams beat the Bruins, or which is just taking advantage over their offense, which is not a sure thing, which is led by a talented but a freshman quarterback, which
playing for the wrong coach.
Who's playing for the wrong coach? He's going to look so good as a Duck next season. Dan Lanning's
and also
really going to get him going.
Hey, man. Let's talk about the David Woods theory.
David Woods theory. That's right.
Let's talk about it. I'm curious.
He was confident in UCLA, and
he was confident in UCLA's defense, right?
Yeah.
And then how many points did Oregon State score?
Oh boy, too many to count. You wouldn't happen to have.
Scored 36 points.
Dear Lord, it was a beatdown, and I do think it is kind of becoming more apparent. In my opinion, the true defense that I circle is like this is a damn fine defense. Well, Ducks have a great defense. Like I'm not going to deny that.
Look, I know we're running out of time. Look, here's the important thing about the UCLA Oregon State game is that Dante Moore doesn't work in this offense with Chip Kelly. I've been saying that for like close on to a year. I'm right. Number two, Oregon State's defense isn't real good, even with that bad offense out of UCLA. They still scored 24 points. If they were competent at all, they would have lit Oregon State up. Oregon State is a massively overrated team. Point number three. Here's the deal. UCLA is a highly rated defense. It is a statistical chimera. The issue is it's being massively overrated by their Washington State performance. Washington State is a problematic team. Here's the thing. Washington State can't run the ball at all. So UCLA is being credited with a rush defense they don't really possess. What UCLA really has in terms of their defense is one and only one thing, which is they have an excellent pass rusher named Liatu Latu. His story is kind of crazy, but it just comes down to one thing. It is not a full spectrum defense. It's one pass rusher. It was enough to blow up Wazoo, but look, man, that's not enough to stop Oregon State's rush offense. It's not relevant to Oregon State the way that they score points, which is why this was a predictable outcome. Here's the other thing that's relevant. There is a 4-team knot in the Pac-12 right now. It is Oregon State, Washington State, UCLA, and Utah. Here's the crazy thing about it. Those 4 teams, they all went undefeated in the non-conference except those 12 opponents. They all suck ass. So they don't provide any data. Those 4 teams, again, UCLA, Utah, Oregon State, and Washington State, they've only played each other.
Yeah.
So it's like this impenetrable
weird
box, right? There are some exceptions, however. They've played, those 4 teams have played 2 games against Cal, except Cal's the worst team in the universe. Except Cal sort of puts up some points against them, so that's interesting. There's one other exception. One penetration into this 4-team knot, right? Okay. Which we're going to talk about in a second. But my point being, this 4-team knot, they're all basically equivalent because they've all played each other. They've all beat each other, right? Utah beat UCLA. UCLA beat Wazoo. Wazoo beat Oregon State. Oregon State beat Utah, right? So it's this Ouroboros that eats its own tail.
Okay.
So this 4-team knot, again, they beat all their out-of-conference opponents, but their out-of-conference opponents suck. They've only played each other. They've only beat each other. except for Cal, which sucks. There's only been one team that's penetrated the knot, and they're all as good as each other. So,
it's a rat king.
I definitely agree with you that, like, for example, UCLA is getting a whole lot of credit for holding Utah to like 14 points. Utah's offense fucking sucks right now. It doesn't matter if you're in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And
really
the crazy thing is, like,
that.
Utah's a 1-loss team. Oregon State's a 1-loss team. Washington State's a 2-loss team. UCLA is like a 2-loss team. So, like, these 4 teams they're being viewed as like equivalent. They are equivalent. They're being viewed as all very good teams. But it's like this. It's like, you know how every year everybody talks about how the SEC is an echo chamber?
Yeah.
You know, this is like they formed this little Pac-12 mini echo chamber.
Well, let them have it. All right,
Well,
the Pac-12's dying. We need a little.
Well,
little
you're about
juice
to
in
talk
this bad
about a
boy.
game in which the echo chamber got pierced.
Oh yeah, well yeah, we'll get to that. Also on bye is this team that sucks, Cal. As you said, hey, they beat Arizona State, which is a game a while ago, but I thought I'd bring that up. Cal, they stink, my man. They played against Utah. I did not even watch the highlights of this game. I had it.
Oh man,
going
I have to watch
on-
the shit out of this game.
Yeah. I had it going
because
like,
Oregon's about to
muted
play Utah,
next
and then
to
they're
my
about
TV.
to play Cal, and so like this game is super relevant for Oregon, and like so I have to watch the shit out of this game, and like I don't want to.
I
Watch
didn't-
this shit.
I had it muted next to the TV, but then I was only looking at it every once in a while, and I honestly didn't want to watch it. There was the game of the century going on the big screen. So, Cal, we don't have to watch them this week. That's for sure. Us normies.
2-star Fernando Mendoza leading passer in this game with 149 yards.
That is
149 yards is your leading passer.
This seems
By
like
the
an
way,
appropriate time to start learning how to integrate AI into reading and watching the video footage for you.
yeah, there you go. I mean, we should just AI this whole fucking podcast. Arizona also going on by. Now, they just demolished Washington State. Washington State
they're the
was there to
team
be
that
demolished.
pierced the 4-team knot, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so having just established that all 4 teams are like equivalent to one each other, and then what did Arizona do when they pierced the bubble?
They
wrecked them.
that.
Now,
Yeah.
Arizona, unlike those teams, is a team that I know a lot about because they went outside the bubble. They played Mississippi State in the non-conference, and through a crazy quirk in the schedule, even though Oregon doesn't play Arizona this year, although I don't know, kind of the way things are going, maybe Oregon will see them in the conference championship game.
Yeah.
Really?
Like,
I mean, they're doing pretty
I
damn
know.
well, man.
but like
Probably not.
through a
but-
crazy quirk in the schedule, they keep being the team that plays Oregon's opponent right before Oregon plays that opponent. So they played Stanford right before Oregon played Stanford. They played Washington right before Oregon played Washington. They played Wazoo right before Oregon played Wazoo, and they played USC. Not right before Oregon plays USC, but like everybody watched that game because it was real fun. So I watched the shit out of Arizona, and it's this like unlike the teams in the knot, it's this well diversified team where like I know a ton about Stanford, I know a ton about Washington, I know a ton about Washington State, I know a ton about USC. Like there's tons of network effects that help me understand those teams, and so therefore help me understand Arizona. I feel like I understand Arizona really, really well, even though it's a team that Oregon doesn't play. And so they're like my avatar. They're my avatar for understanding and penetrating this like 4-team knot of Washington State, Oregon State, Utah, and UCLA. And so what happens when Arizona goes up to the Palouse? Not a crazy Pacific Northwest team goes down to the desert. And, oh no, a horrible thing happened when we go to the desert. Nope, wasn't that. They went up to Pullman. Right, what happens? What was the score in this game, Adam?
They pulverized him. Was it what, 40-something?
44 to 6.
Yeah.
Who did I pick?
I got it written down. I believe you picked the wrong one.
Oh, God damn it. I feel like I did real bad this week.
Actually, you know what? This is hysterical. This is the one that all 3 of us missed. All of us backed Wazoo because Pullman and because you didn't quite know in Arizona. But Nova Fafita is fun as hell to watch, and Arizona in general is doing a lot of good stuff, just cleaning up. I mean, they had that wonderful game against USC. They had a competitive game against Washington. So I feel pretty happy about it. And like even their fan base is actually showing up and having a good time at home compared to teams that are, like top 25 right now, UCLA and such. So Wildcats have been pretty fun to watch lately, and I'm also kind of glad we don't play them. Colorado. Now, Aaron, Hythloday, give me a second here. Hythloday, give me a second here, okay?
How have I gone on a massive rant about these teams and haven't said a word about this game?
Hold on. Aaron, so I wanted to tell this to you. You picked Colorado.
I know.
And it looked... I gotta say, man, it was genius. 29-0, they led at half. So
wow.
You would assume that means a win over a one-win Stanford at the time.
Right.
But what if I were to tell you, Aaron?
I would already know.
Immediately after that, damn it, I wanted to spring this on you.
I know.
That is right. Stanford fought for double overtime, completely exposed Colorado. Shedeur Sanders was on Instagram selling shit at halftime, being like,
I mean, it was probably a bot.
I mean, yeah, sure, but
they don't let you have phones on the. You're not allowed to have computing devices. It's an NCAA rule.
It still happened. It still existed out there, and I love that it existed because narrative is so tasty. And one thing that you can definitely pat Hythloday on the back here for, and I mean this is kind of just common knowledge too, why we don't have two-way players, is because Travis Hunter did look fucking winded by coming off injury and then having to play both sides of the ball, and then he got picked on for a record amount of yards.
Yeah.
Was it 300 yards? Yeah,
almost 300 yards, and almost entirely in the second half. That was the crazy thing.
Yeah, because probably
this game set a ton of Pac-12 records.
Yeah. And it didn't happen to us. Isn't that awesome?
Aaron, you're saying this with a bunch of remorse in your voice, oh, what dummy I am for picking this wrong. Everyone in the universe, got this one wrong. It was the craziest shit that has happened.
For one person on this podcast named Adam Chimeo, who picked the Stanford Cardinal. Continue, Aaron. What did you say?
I was just going to say that Hythloday, that's why I have the sound of depression, because for some reason I have slipped
Adam
out
is
of
finally
stream
happy
with the universe.
Yeah, because I was feeling this time.
You're kind of right about this. This is the kind of game that I would have expected you to predict crazily, and then we'd laugh and then be like, "Oh no, Aaron!"
Yeah. Honestly, Aaron calling the Stony Brook.
The thing that breaks my heart about this round of pick'ems is Adam gets a point because he picked his favorite team, Stanford.
Shut up.
And then Adam gets another point for turncoating on us.
I know, that did hurt my heart.
Insane.
It didn't feel good. Well, let's get into the next thing
Let's get into it.
Oregon Wazoo, they play number 9 Oregon, which is pretty fucking cool that we're still top 10. I mean, the whole nation, the whole dialogue about it, it was pretty cool. That Washington is just, such a dynamic offense. They have such a good team right now that has made waves. And so many people watched that game, how close it was, that, we didn't cover, but we pushed even.
Yeah.
That we are still getting a lot of credit for it, and it's pretty fun. So still number 9, still in the top 10. We did lose. I did pick Washington. It did not make me feel better after the game, I found. Not only this, Aaron, we should have...
bastard.
Get this. So Friday the 13th was the day before the game, okay?
Sure, okay.
There was an eclipse during the day of the game.
Right, that morning I saw a little bit of it here.
That should have really, put us... That should have let us know something's up with the cosmos there.
I was thinking about that the whole time.
This was the real thing. I should have texted you immediately, Aaron, and to be put money on this game that the Ducks are going to lose. Because I guess it was a push. It wouldn't have mattered. But So we had some friends from out of town come and hang out with us. They don't give a shit about football. They live in Boise, but they don't give a shit about football. They came here, and it turns out they're very lovely people. Turns out, oh yeah, we have a dog too. We're bringing our dog. He's a very nice dog. Guess what kind of dog that was, Aaron?
Chiweenie.
In my house.
A Boston Terrier or a Chiweenie?
It was a goddamn Husky. A Husky in my house on game day. So,
dude,
it was
I bet
all
you
on
were
me.
all just like cuddling with it while it was winning, and you're like, check out my favorite jersey. Let me put it on you and keep you warm.
I did all those things, Aaron. I'm going to do that again this Saturday at 12:30 p.m. ABC. I mean, obviously, Wazoo has had some crazy upsets against us, but we were always worse teams than this current team we have right now. I feel very confident. I'm going with the Ducks. I may never pick against them again. Hythloday, can I assume you're back in the Ducks here?
Yeah. I mean, Oregon's a better team. And they're at home, and there's no
dude.
And they got
Cam
fired
Ward,
now.
Can you Cam Ward ain't it? I'm just gonna straight up say I don't think he every time I'm watching him on my TV, he's pulling some vintage DTR shit.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, we recently recorded with Jamie Vinnick of CougFan.com, and I mean, we literally spent an hour with him trying to solve the puzzle of what is going on with, how could Wazoo's offense go from looking like Wazoo to the playoffs to just looking like complete trash,
it's nuts.
And
I think we're going to run through that offensive line. He's not going to have a good day in Austin, especially after that loss in Seattle. I just have all the confidence in the world that this is going to be a blowout.
Yeah, it's just there's nothing that with the I think you're probably right to put your finger on Cam Ward ain't it, because there's absolutely nothing that Wazoo does offensively or defensively that is scary at all to the Ducks in the way that there's stuff that Washington does that's scary. There's nothing that Wazoo does that's scary. With the possible exception of some of those deep throws that he was making against Oregon State, which is part of the reason why when we were talking to Jamie, I was like, what the hell was up with that? And then why did they go away? Because I was sort of because is there a chance that they come back? And but I don't think that Cam Ward's got I think that whatever he shoved up his butt that gave him the power to do that fell out of his butt now because he doesn't have access to it anymore. Yeah, the magic
nice.
yeah, the magic deep throw suppository is no longer in his pants.
I'll take 2 of those in the morning. I honestly think even if he's having one of his best career days, for every 70-yard pass he pulls off, he's gonna also just drop it on the ground, and Dorless is gonna run it home. I swear to God. Who Dorless called him one of the more annoying quarterbacks to play against because he runs back 13 yards in every play, and that made me laugh.
Well, yeah, and I mean, honestly, the only reason it was even close, against was the dude kept pulling off magic scrambles, I mean, it was I totally know what Dorless is talking about. It was just infuriating to do the film watch on that. It's just dude, are you kidding me? There is about a 1% chance that play would, that scramble works. And then and then another 1% chance that it worked. And then it's just do you know what the odds of any of those things are happening? It's just but it's the Ducks.
Do you want to talk about what happens when the magic of scrambling runs out? Because we can talk about USC. And Notre Dame.
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly.
Dear
my
Lord,
God.
Aaron, Notre Dame dismantled USC. And it was
Didn't
more
I pick Notre Dame?
I got it right here. Both of us picked Notre Dame. Hythloday picked USC.
Finally, I got one right with the Utes.
And I picked USC on the premise that USC is just a winner program.
Yeah. Well, and this was 3 interceptions in the first half for Caleb Williams, and it was an amazing thing because again I was bummed enough where I was like, I'll catch up on this game later. I don't give a shit. But then you look at you see the score. Wow, amazing. You look at the box score for this game, and you would expect Notre Dame. Oh, they must have just ran through like 400 yards plus off. It really is. They just took advantage of the mistakes that USC did. The more desperate USC got, because USC, it's all built around, can Caleb Williams just be a god out there? But then it'd be thirds and long. They're desperate. Notre Dame would, pick it off, and there could have been more turnovers in this game. There was also some, like fumble. And then in the second half, when there was a semblance of USC rallying back, Notre Dame would answer with a different kind of big play to just make it not even a close game. USC has been quite exposed. I mean, yes, they still got an amazing future NFL, possible star, and I'm sure they got plenty of other potential NFL talent on this team. But right now, even the offense is starting to look pretty susceptible. Now, against number 14, Utah, which I gotta admit, which is
another massively overrated team.
Oh, yeah. I assume even Utah fans are going, yeah, that we're a bit of a fraud. We're being rated as if it's like everyone who's voting is just being like, oh, well, Cam Rising, he's right around the corner. Brant Keithy, oh, he'll be here any minute. It's like, if you're watching this team play week after week and judging it by the players that are currently on the field, it is hard to justify a 14 rating. But hey, they got a shot. I mean, this is versus Utah, so they're going down to LA, place they have not done well historically.
Oh shit, they're going down to
they haven't. USC Notre Dame played last. Yeah, that was bad for USC. USC, they only have one loss now. Utah going down there also has one loss. Their offense looks pretty suspect, but their defense, in my opinion, for them to still only have one loss, and from watching them, I feel like it's just a testament that their defense is actually pretty dang good. Not good enough to drag them to like a Pac-12 championship game without some major improvements, but
I think their defense has it
has to be good, at least good.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be at least good. It's probably not I have some complaints with it, but it has to be at least good.
Right? Okay. But Aaron, this is still, this is a slightly wounded, but this
what
is
am I
still
supposed to do here?
It's a good question. Who do you got more faith in?
I'm sorry, you said Utah won their game last week?
They did. They won it pretty bad. They won it pretty good, against
which means
a bad Cal team.
But it was against Cal, which is the closest thing to not counting that there is.
You chose Cal. You went against
of course
the Utes,
I did.
man. Yeah.
I just don't get this season. I know too much.
I think that's
I'm
the
better
problem,
when I
too.
know nothing.
I went 2-4 this week, man.
God, I don't know. Okay, I guess I'll just throw a dart at it, and it landed on USC.
You're going USC.
I guess
Fair
so.
enough. This is bonkers, because the thing is
it real?
USC's offense lately has looked wounded, or has looked not as good. I shouldn't say wounded. It's not like they're like desecrated by injuries. It's just more like their offensive line is clearly being shown as more of a problem, that they're not going to be able to just offense their way out of every single situation, because Caleb Williams is still immortal. But Utah's. I think Utah. I'm going with Utah.
Gosh,
but
it.
This is actually a pretty tough one in my opinion. But I guess I have more faith in an ugly win from Utah. Hith, who do you got in this one? It's kind of intriguing.
I'm going to take Utah.
Dang it!
Yeah.
Because
Hith,
Utah doesn't have an offense, but that doesn't matter because USC doesn't have a defense.
Yeah, and their offense is slipping seemingly.
And I think that Utah's defense will do what they did to USC the last time that they played, which is crush their offensive line.
And USC now has one loss, so that should get rid of about half of their home fans that they would have had. So,
I actually have a prop bet, which is USC is going to lose out.
Oh, wait, the rest of the year? Like, they're not going to win another game?
Yeah.
Oh,
wow! I want that to be true.
Including to the UCLA team that I'm skeptical of, and to Cal.
Ooh.
I'm actually looking at this shit, and now I get what you're saying, because it's Utah, it's at Cal. That is
because remember Cal played him close in the Coliseum last year, and that was a bad Cal team.
You got Hyth.
Read the rest of their schedule, Adam.
Okay, so we got at Cal after this Utah game. Then Washington goes down and plays USC. USC will definitely not be favored there. Then they come to Eugene, Oregon to play the Oregon Ducks.
Yeah.
Then UCLA. Hyth, this is quite the take, and I am loving it. And in fact, lock this in. This is now a Quack 12 pick of the season.
The season.
I love that. That is great.
Because here's the thing about the thing I think that this team when I think this team's soft.
Yeah,
I think I'm just going to put it that way. I think this team is soft, and I think that as soon as they hit this bump, like this Notre Dame bump, and then this Utah bump that's going to happen, that they're just going to quit.
Huh.
I mean, I'm
and then even games that they should win, like against Cal and UCLA, they're done. They packed it in.
So if they. Okay, so really,
and I mean, I have actually more analytical reasons. I've got problems with their wide receiver core. I've definitely got problems with their offensive line. I've talked about that. I definitely have huge problems with their defense. I think that I think the way that their RPO game works can be solved, and I think that more teams are figuring that out. When we talk about specific games, I can discuss in ways that I think are analytically sound the ways that teams can defeat them, but I just mean that when I say that they lose out, I mean what I mean is even in games where they should be favored, they shouldn't be favored.
I agree with you. I mean, if anyone who's watched this, even from a bird's eye kind of view, just flipping through the teams that have been able to slow down their offense, and of course their defense, you could just run through. I agree with you.
Because this would hardly be the first time that a highly ranked USC team would finish whatever it would be 5-7 or whatever. This would be the third time in 12 years. Yeah.
Yeesh.
No, I like it. I love it. Here we go. This one should be quick unless you're hoping for a huge upset. Number 5, Washington, who just defeated the greatest team to ever play college football, versus Arizona State. This is 7:30 p.m. on FS1. Arizona State is plucky, but I mean they're near the bottom of the pack for a reason.
Let's face it. This is just another bye week for Washington, a reward, if you will, a desert.
Yeah.
I mean, if this were played in the desert, this would be. Arizona State would have the opportunity to do the funniest thing.
Yeah. I mean, Scatterboo is a god, but, I think he ain't doing this. I think we all got Washington, unfortunately, in this, right? Does anyone want to be frisky here? Or,
No.
It's good for us. I'm rooting for Washington to lose because I would love to not play them in the Pac-12 championship game.
Really?
I mean, for the narrative and stuff, it'd be great if we did and got that other shot. But I would also just to maybe somehow play a worse team. I don't know. Sounds good.
Hyth already said we would win that game.
Oh, well,
I didn't say will.
Yeah, you did.
Guaranteed.
Yeah, you did. You guaranteed it
guaranteed
100%. You certified that Angus.
Now you know what's really funny is that you know what team is on their schedule, Washington's schedule, that has because of how the like home road works, but their schedule is super favorable this year for their home roads and like how teams have wound up. I mean, they had like their hardest game was going to be going down to the Coliseum, but now the USC has been totally exposed.
Yeah.
You know, it's not. You know what the hardest game that's left on their schedule until Vegas is?
Until Vegas, is it Utah coming to Washington? Is that it, or what do you think?
At Stanford.
What?
That'd be great. I'd love it if we could get one more true Stanford upset. Because Colorado, that's not. It was an amazing comeback, but the prestige has kind of fallen off that Colorado team a bit. Oh, to
it has,
upset
hasn't
Washington. It? Yeah. Well, it's all from your perspective. If
Yeah,
you're
sure.
being a realist and being like they won one game last season, then not at all. But
I mean, that's true.
Man, I love it. And the final Pac-12 game of the week, Stanford versus somehow number 25 UCLA, Saturday 7:30 p.m. ESPN. Stanford coming off a game that, a Pac-12 win, which a lot of people were kind of starting to think, was that going to happen for this Stanford team? They weren't sure. And it wasn't. It felt more like Colorado kind of messing up than. I mean, you got to give credit to Stanford. They kept throwing to the guy who ended up with 300 yards, but it didn't exactly feel like, I don't know. It still didn't feel like a dominating thing against a freshman QB.
Golly.
Who knows?
Golly.
Who's throwing pick sixes left and right? Aaron, who you got?
Wait, is that the quarterback for UCLA now? Is just a little puppy dog?
Dante Moore. Oh, well, he's like a puppy
he's
dog with
super
promise.
talented, but
He's very talented.
he's a true freshman, and B, Chip Kelly's offense doesn't know how to use him.
Chip Kelly ain't helping him
Oh.
out. Chip Kelly's going like, okay, it's all on you, buddy. And it's just, and then Chip Kelly historically has done better with a true, really athletic, quick, run first almost quarterback. It's been more.
You know
style,
what?
but.
I kind of want to vibe with the tree. Give me the tree. Give me old Stanford.
Look at you. This one's pretty tough for me.
Is
It'd
it
be pretty? Well,
This
because
is stuff for you. Your favorite team is right there, staring at you.
Damn, this is actually a pretty tough one. I don't know. Damn. I'm gonna say that
Hythloday will tell us why UCLA is going to win this game here in a minute. Don't worry.
I'm just gonna look at what I haven't gone against. I'm gonna just try to go UCLA. Just kind of mix things up.
Okay, great.
I truly don't know about this one. Both these teams.
Is this a points grab?
Are bad. It's kind of going against you, honestly, to distance myself. Yeah, that's about it though. Hythloday, who do you got in this one?
Oh, I got UCLA.
God damn it.
Fair enough.
I just don't think that Stanford's going to be able to do it twice. I think that unlike Colorado, I think that UCLA's pass rush is for real. I don't, as I was saying earlier in the podcast, I don't think the entirety of UCLA's defense is for real, but I do think that they're I think advanced stats is being fooled by a number of factors, but I do think that the pass rush aspect is for real, and I think that Stanford's offensive line is for real a joke, and that they're just going to eat their quarterback alive.
It's true because you could tell they really wanted to run against Colorado, which should be a pretty easy thing. And the reason why they were able to come back is because they kind of started going away from that and just chucking to the dude against Travis Hunter.
And that's the other thing, is that it's sort of that cat's out of the bag. I think there were a number of people on the internet who were celebrating the demise of Travis Hunter's NFL career. I've got news for you guys. That dude is still going to be paid millions of dollars to play cornerback in the NFL. Because you know what? The NFL's not going to play him as a wide receiver immediately after a liver injury.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, that dude, like, that dude is going to be paid millions of dollars to play exclusively at cornerback and is not going to be getting liver injuries. Like,
well, and
like
it's
the
now,
idea that like that dude is a bad cornerback is insane. Like you people are, well, I think that there were people who were rooting for that for reasons that, you should probably look in the mirror and discuss with your maker.
Travis Hunter's a great guy, great player. It did hit me really watching that game where it was like, yes, there's highlights in this game of Travis Hunter on offense. There's that cool touchdown. Yes, there's highlights of him on defense. I just feel like he would be overall better at, the whole team would be so much better if he was just doing one and there was more highlights on offense or more highlights on defense. Like,
well, yeah. Oh man, we're running long on time, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but like I'll just put it this way: the NFL will pay him a lot of money to play cornerback.
Yeah.
That when he is a college player, you might see more highlights of him as a wide receiver. That has to do with stuff, with like about a million different questions, which like I could break down the analytics for you, but like, come on, man, don't make me do that. Like that dude's
touchdowns are fun to look at, is what it comes down to.
And like what expected values are, and what where other positions are filled on his team, and where where opportunity costs lie, and like, look, it's actually as an analyst and as a game player of games, it's actually kind of fun, but like it's 9:30 at night and I got another podcast to record.
So stop talking about it already.
Yeah, look, Alec Aluminer is not going to be able to do that a second time. Like the cat's out of the bag, and UCLA is aware of him, and they have cornerbacks who just play cornerback. And so like,
makes sense.
Like, even though I don't think that guy is like, oh, that he's a lie. No, he's for real. I wrote about him when I wrote my Stanford preview. Like, he's a good, receiver, just like Stanford has other good, receivers. But that was an artifact of that particular game, and asking for it to be a repeat is a silly thing to do. Like, that's how you make bad bets. So don't make bad bets. Bet on UCLA. Betting is foolish and immoral.
Well, speaking of bad bets, let's talk about what y'all did here, too. Because both of you got 2 of them right. I, on the other hand, got 4 of them right. So I am catching up slowly here. Here it is now. Hythloday, 43
When
points.
crazy things happen in a week, the person who makes crazy choices profits.
That's true. Adam has 40 points. Aaron has 34. So it is good that you went against us. Because me and Hith chose the exact same ones. You chose a couple different. So, you need to make some calculated risks, Aaron. So that I think overall is smart.
You can call me Little Dan Lanning.
Yeah. That being said, Hith, let's you're super specific of the week. Let's just say you choosing USC not to win another game. That should count.
Yeah, that was my prop bet,
amazing.
That's an amazing one. Aaron, how about you? Do you have a super specific one against Wazoo?
Our mascot will beat up their mascot
again. Oh, nice. Or a different cougar.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was a different
cougar, but a cougar nonetheless. I love it. That's wonderful. I hope it happens. For me, I'm talking not 1, not 2, but 3 fumbles. Cam Ward will fumble this ball 3 times in this game.
Not just that Wazoo will put the ball in the dirt 3 times, but that it'll be Cam Ward in particular, and B, that Oregon will pick them up.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. 3 times that will happen. And come to hear, when it does, and pat me on the back. All right, everybody, at Hythloday1 on Twitter, at Quack12 Podcast on Twitter. We'll see you all next week. Quack, quack.
Quack, quack.
Relax.